I, Yashvi Mittal, Freedom House Vice Captain.
Welcome you all to the digital platform of BHIS Council Chronicles.
BHIS has always been innovative with respect to its extracurricular activities.
BHIS Chronicles time and again has been making lovely endeavors to open the arena of widespread knowledge through the vast spectrum of speakers from different fields.
BHIS Student Council takes the initiative with an enterprising and informative session with Mr. Sameer Arora.
Mr. Sameer Arora is a natural leader, a collaborator, and an educator with over 24 years of school experience, not limited to teaching across all levels of school, that is, upper primary, middle, and senior secondary, integrating pedagogical innovations in curriculum, fostering partnerships with educational organizations, individuals, experts, and members of the community, school administration, resource management, and communication, in a journey that has spanned cities, schools, educational enterprises, and organizations.
He has experience of establishing two travel-based startups offering experimental education programs to the youth and has traveled over 20 countries. He firmly believes travel is the best form of education. He has also worked with National Geographic Channel for one of the education programs, Unlock R, as country head.
He has volunteered with many organizations and has been awarded for his distinguished services to Asian Regional Space Settlement Design Competition and the Duke of Edinburgh Award. Of all the projects he has been involved in, conceptualizing and serving as Festival Director for Sanj, Amritsar Lahore Peace Festival is one of his most favorite associations.
He was focusing initiating a sustainable peace dialogue with youth in both countries and reached out to more than 30,000 children, youth, and artists across borders. He has also been awarded Class Nobel Educator of Distraction for Excellence in Teaching and encouragement of and dedication to the academic success of students, National Society of High School Scholars, USA.
Not wasting much time, let's ask our guest speaker to speak magniloquently on this topic, which will lead us to give approbation for his magnificent book.
We would like to welcome our guest speaker for the day, Mr. Sameer Arora, who will throw light on embracing change.
Sir, you're muted.
Very warm evening to all of you, and thank you, Neo, and thank you, Yashvi, for such a warm welcome. Sometimes when you reflect back on your life, hearing from others on occasions as such, you realize that what you've been able to achieve and what you've been able to serve your community. If you asked me 25 years back, I wouldn't have thought that I've come that far. So thank you so much for this opportunity, Ms. Preeti. She's a very, one of the most dynamic directors I've met across the country, and I've worked with some of the top schools in the country and in the world across the globe, at least in four continents. So thank you today, Billabong High School, for this opportunity, and I will just try to make it not a lecture mode. I'll just try to explain my journey and what my experiences have been in life, and I hope some of these you will resonate with, and some of these you will find valuable. And some of it you may not find valuable, so that's okay. So without much ado, I think I'll start my presentation. I've tried to make it interactive and hope we'll use some new tools. We'll learn something from each other. At any given point of time, if you want to some house announcements, it'll be nice if you can keep yourself muted. And if you want to ask a question, raise a point, feel free at any given point of time, raise your hand, and one of the moderators will expect me to answer the question. So let's start. I think I've picked up a very basic and a very important topic, which is called change. And I can't stress more on how important change is today than today. I think everything we've been doing, every dimension of life, every perception of life has been changed. One of the two most important perceptions or dimensions of life is time and space. When I say space, with the global mobility becoming higher, the world has become a playground. I mean, I've seen people traveling different time zones in 3 to 4 days, right? Today you're in India, tomorrow you can be in Europe, day after you can be in US, and then fourth day you can back be in India. So you traverse time zones, you traverse geographical boundaries, and all that is possible, right? But what has happened today? Today we've lost that dimension. We're not able to step out of our own homes. I live in an apartment building complex which has 1900 flats. And for almost 9 weeks, we were not even allowed to step out of our doorstep. Everything was delivered at our doorstep, right? So that's very interesting. We've lost the dimension of space. The second thing, I think we've lost the dimension of time, which is very important. I think we're very used to run our life by minute, hour by hour. I know it's very different in small city like Kanpur, very different from a city like Amritsar where I come from. But in a city like Bangalore, every second counts, every minute counts, every hour counts, and every day counts. So we are very used to run our life by the clock, and that completely changed, right? So let's talk about today's topic, embracing change. And my name is Samir, and today's an interesting date. It's called 10/10/2020. So I thought it's an interesting change we're experiencing in our time. So what will we discuss today? That's very important for all of us to just keep an anchor on that, what we're going to discuss today. The first thing we're going to discuss about is change. And is change comfortable? Of course, some of you may feel change is comfortable. Some of you may say it depends on the change, whether it is comfortable or uncomfortable change. And some of you always feel change is not comfortable. You're very happy in your comfort zone. And our understanding of change through our life experiences. How does our life progress? What experiences do we have? That helps us understand the idea of change. If our life experiences are positive one after the other, we consider change to be very good. We are happy to embrace it. But if our idea of change in our life is constantly not positive, then we fear change. Kind of experiences we have. So we'll talk about that dimension. And some changes are forced upon you, and some changes are voluntary. We will also talk about how do we view change. Do we have ability to view change differently? Can we look at change positively? Can we have the power to look at change negatively? Can we have an ambivert mindset and say, okay, I would not judge whether it's a good change or a bad change. I'll embrace the change. So we'll talk about that briefly. And finally, what will you take away from this session? What will be your takeaway from this session? This will be your takeaway from your session today. It depends on what you want to take away from this session. I will not give you, the idea is not to give you gyan. The idea is not to give you lecture. The idea is to give you my life experience. And from that, draw a parallel to your life experience. Some of you parents are already here. You may have lived as long as I've lived. Maybe some years, bless us, some years longer. And children, you have a whole life. So you will get from this session what you want to perceive. You can be an old man and start rejuvenated to look at yourself as a young person, or you can be that young person in the mirror who's looking at the mirror, into the mirror and saying, oh my God, what has happened to me? So it is absolutely your takeaway. I cannot choose what will you take away from this session. A quick poll. Most of the time, people say that 64% of the public don't pay attention to any polls. So I will just stop the share here, and I'll request the admin to kind of share the poll with the audience. This is just a very simple poll which I want you to do. I want you to think, close your eyes first of all. Just close your eyes, don't look at the screen. Keep your eyes closed. After three deep breaths, all the buck and all the conversation I've had with you may be out of your mind. Now think of one change you experienced in your lifetime which has been very, very uncomfortable. It is the change you did not like. It is the change you were not expecting. It's the change you did not want. And it happened to you. Think of that change and experience an emotion at this point of time. And think, what do you feel? Wow. Okay. Have you published the results? Okay. Only 12% voted. Let's see how does it change. Only 15% people voted. Come on, audience, let's vote. Let's do 100% voting and see. I see some very resilient people here who felt challenged when they were confronted with a change in their lives. We still have only we have probably 45 more seconds and then we'll close the poll. I must say, Dr. Smita, you've got a very resilient community. Most of them felt challenged. I'm sure the school is doing something phenomenally well with children. We just had 42% vote. The voting is closing in 10 seconds. So please exercise your vote. In India, in democracy, the biggest challenge is we don't exercise our right to vote. Here it is for you. So we can close the poll and we can publish the results. So only out of 659 people who were present here, only 28 voted, which is less than 50%. And 18% felt fearful. When they encountered a change, they felt fearful. Some felt awkward. Some felt resistance. They did not want to change. Some felt uncertain. They did not know. And it's obvious. People don't know what will happen. And I think congratulate yourself. At least 50% of your community felt challenged positively. And nobody was in denial. So this is really, really an interesting poll. And I'll quickly take a screenshot for this poll for myself. Excellent. Great. So we'll move on to the next slide now. Allow me a minute, yes. Can you all see it? So what does change do? What kind of emotions does change evoke? When you encounter an emotion and you feel challenged, you feel denied, you feel resisted, you feel fearful, what makes you feel these emotions? So a couple of statements I want to make here. First of all, is it uncertainty with change which makes you feel fearful? Is it uncertainty with change which makes you feel challenged? What is that? You must always ask this question whenever you encounter a change in your life. Is it inability to control the outcome? Because when we come across a change, change is something which has never happened before in your life. You've never experienced it, right? So since you cannot control it, you feel fearful, you feel challenged, you feel in denial. So what is that? You have to always ask yourself question, what is making me feel uncomfortable? And finally, is it what we feel challenged out of a comfort zone makes us feel uncomfortable? So these are some statements I asked my friends and I said, okay, you feel so, but why do you feel so? So some of them said, the uncertainty of change challenges me. Some of them said, inability of understanding what will happen to me 6 months down the line, makes me fear. And some said that, oh, I'm out of my comfort zone. So hence it's kind of, challenging myself. So what is change? Let's quickly understand that change is basically a change in a status quo. For example, if you've decided to come to school, I've been to your school a couple of years back. I don't know the approach to school is the same, but I knew I hit the wrong road. Later on, Ms. Preeti told me that you could have taken a different road and you would have reached here comfortably. But because I changed the direction, it took me a lot of time to reach the school. I had to navigate very narrow roads. I encountered a herd of cows on the streets and it was difficult to reach the school. So change is anything what you planned. If that changes as a status quo, that is a change. A very simple definition. We're going to play a simple game. Parents, this game is for you. So you can type your answers in the chat box. Okay, parents, let's forget this pandemic happened. Let's go back to January of 2020 when we did not know that pandemic is going to happen. Of course, in China, the conversations were already happening and the people were Mr. Trump policy denial. We were still figuring it out what's happening. If the school would have sent you a circular from the month of February, we will not have online classes and we will only teach your children through, we will only have online classes. We will not have physical school. without any reason, how would you have felt? What would you have said? Let's look at the chat box. You have 2 minutes. So let's see. Don't think the pandemic has happened. Go back to the pre-pandemic time. आप पेंडेमिक से पहले चले जाइए और सिंपल एक सर्कुलर आया है स्कूल से जिसमें बोला गया है कि आपके बच्चे कल से स्कूल नहीं आएंगे, स्कूल आज से 1 साल के लिए स्क्रीन पे पढ़ाया जाएगा. आपको कैसा लगता? Sir, the quick poll slide is visible. Awkward. Okay. I have shut down the slide. I don't have the access to the slide actually. That's okay. Let's treat it as a family meeting. I mean, it's no professional, no public presentation. So I'm just going to take it as my extended family. All children are my family across the world. That's how I treat as a teacher. So parents, do you have an answer? I'm sure half of you would have felt, some of you are writing to me privately saying you would have taken your children out of the school and gone to the school which is doing physical classes. Some of you are saying we would have gone back to the school and spoken to the principal. How can you decide to do that? But see, change challenge you, and all of us ended up doing. And today, if school does a poll, I recently did a poll in my school. I'm a vice principal in a school. 70% of my parents said even if the school opens, they won't send their children back to school. And the same thing, if I would have done it a year back, I don't think so any single parent would have said that I want to allow my children to study from home, right? So that's, as of now, we learned positive aspect of digital learning. We would have accepted it as a new challenge in education system. That's right. So parents have played their game. I know parents are very good at playing with all of us. My parents also play with me. Now teachers, a question for you. If pre-pandemic times you were told to take online classes and were not asked to come to school for 6 months, what would you have said? Let's see how many teachers here and what is their answer. You have about 30 seconds. I'm going to look at what would have been your reaction, teachers? I'm waiting an answer from you. Parents were very good at playing this game, and I know who will beat parents and teachers though, finally. Wow. One teacher said exciting. I agree with you, my dear friend. I would have been very excited if my school told you I can be vice principal sitting from home. I was in school, by the way, today morning. Would not have felt good as school is very lively. Okay. But today you're doing it, right? Yes, definitely. It would have been challenging. Would have accepted because it would be exciting, right? Some of you like to accept challenges. This is nice. Excited to accept new way of teaching. So I see Dr. Smitha, please convey my congratulations to Ms. Preeti. You've got a very resilient community, including teachers. Ritika would have said, yes, I know Ritika, I want to teach from home. During my lunchtime, I generally every day take 10 to 15 minutes nap, which is not possible in school. Excellent. So we will move on to the third community, which is a very exciting community, my favorite community. Let's go to children. Children, if you were told before pandemic happened, enjoy studying on computers and you don't have to wake up early to come to the school, what would you have said? Let's see. What would children's answer be? I think mostly no. Saiba said challenged, but accepted. So much fun. Of course, it's so much of fun. You don't have to go to school and you can still study at home. Okay, some more answers. Children, come on, we have to beat teachers and parents. They can't give more answers than us. And I said, ooh, why? Why do we have to do that? Neo is very excited. He's saying, I can spend some more time on filmmaking. Wow. I saw his great collection of movies behind his screen. I would miss the sports. Of course, Shrishti, I would miss the sports too. Exciting, it'll be new experience. It's a new dimension and I'm going to change so. So it would be boring. I know. I used to do every day at my school gate. I meet every single parent, every single child. I give them high fives. I give them hugs. I miss it. Would love it. Yashvi, you're the naughty one who wants to stay back home and study. I guess it's a new dimension and I'm open to change, sir. Excellent. So I see a very resilient, a very agile community, which is a great thing. I think there's another answer. I'll read it and then we'll move forward. Excited. Komal also said excited. Let's go forward. I spoke to almost 30 people and I gave them some options to choose from. When people talk about change to us, what our responses are. This is what people said. When I said, I'm going to take away your car, you have to walk every day. I gave them from my family, from my friends, from my colleagues, I gave them a situation which they're very used to and I took it away from them. And I said, now tell me how are you feeling? Let's see, what did they say? Now is not a good time. I asked a friend and I said, can I ask you not to step out of your home for 3 more weeks? She said, it just lockdown has just opened. Don't joke with me. Now is not a good time. So I asked a friend that said, what if the government says we will supply you 1 year of supplies if you choose to stay home so that you don't spread infection? She said, it's never been done before. So why should we do it now? Pandemic never happened in our lifetime before. So why should we do it now? The answer is there. So I asked a friend that should government start imposing 1,000 rupees fine on every time you go out of home without any valid reason? She said, this is not the right way. You can't find people randomly. People won't accept it. It is complicated. It is not our problem. I mean, I asked them and I said, do you think pandemic is going to impact you? She said, I live in a very safe community. It is not a problem. That becomes a problem also. Sometimes one of my friends said, she said her business is really going down. She runs a restaurant in Ajmer. She said, I keep breathing and I keep telling myself, you got this, Sapna, you got this, Sapna. One of my friends said, who's very spiritual, she said, I keep telling myself, this too shall pass. We will be back to normal situation. We'll hug children. So she's a very renowned counselor. Okay, so what? So what do we do now? Frankly, I'm resistant to change. This is another friend. I said, what if you are asked to change? She says, frankly, I'm resistant to change. I don't like change at all. So another friend said, my first thought would be, because you're used to it, what is familiar is comfortable. So these are different people's different responses. So change and outcomes. Every change brings with it an outcome. The first smiley says that this is a positive outcome. Whenever change brings in a positive outcome, we are happy and embrace it happily. For example, from Kanpur, I know Kanpur is a very small airport. And if you go to Lucknow to catch a flight, you did not find any traffic on the road. You got half an hour early at the airport. That's a positive change, right? You're happy because you can sit down and chat more. You can play more. You can eat at airport. There's so many good things you can do. Suddenly you walk into school and say Dr. Smita has given a good position, promotion in the school. That's a positive change. She'll be happy, right? Neo walks into the school and Neo is told that, okay, the head boy is kind of resigned from the position. We're making you head boy. It's a positive change. So Neo will be very happy, right? But there are negative changes which we resist, we struggle with. Every time I used to leave from home, I would imagine that I'm going to get stuck in traffic and I would not reach my place in time. And half of the time my experience or my thoughts would come true. And that's a negative outcome because, I didn't expect it. I went to office, my boss fired me. That's a negative change. I lost my job. So that's a negative change. I'm told one day I have to leave everything in South. I've traveled around the world, kids. I've traveled more than 20 countries. I've traveled almost 38 cities in India. Briefly, I've lived everywhere, small period of time. But if I'm asked suddenly from a city like Bangalore, metropolis city, to move to Visakhapatnam or to say Puducherry, I would resist it. I'm used to a comfortable cosmopolitan life with a lot of luxuries. So that change, even if it is a good job, good pay scale, I would be resisting the change. So I'm now going to talk about my journey of the last 30 years. And I'm going to talk about the challenges I faced. And many challenges or many changes were not by choice and many changes were by choice. And I'm going to draw a parallel with your life, with your parents' life, and we're going to see what do we learn from it. The first, when I was in grade 12, my dad was running a company. And before that, we were fruit merchant. He was a fruit merchant. We used to hire apple orchards in Srinagar. And Srinagar went through terrorism, bad state. We had to shut down that business and move to Delhi. We started a new company there. Within a span of 6 years, my dad had 2 big losses in his life and he lost all his savings. So I was literally born with privileges like many of you. I went to some of the best schools. And I was raised in abundance, as they say, silver spoon in your mouth. I was that kind of a kid. But suddenly when I reached grade 12, end of grade 12, my dad lost everything, right? So it was a difficult situation for me because he couldn't send me to study flying, or he couldn't send me overseas for my bachelor's degree. And I joined Delhi University, a decent college. And I would spend my day in college, and I leave college early. By afternoon, I'll reach my dad's office. So I juggled between my dad's office and I juggled between my college, and I completed my graduation. I started working. And when his business further went down, what I started doing coaching or home tuitions. That was quick and good money for a graduate because people would pay me per hour amount, and it was good money. But then I decided myself, I said, there's something still missing in my life. So the first change you see was not a change I accepted, or not accepted, I would say, but the change I did not choose. That was a change which was forced upon me by circumstances. And what happened now is that I need to make a choice. And I was happy doing tuitions. I was earning more money, but I wanted to feel belongingness to a place. So I joined a very, very small school. And this is the school where I learned a lot. My principal at that point of time, the principal of the school, was a great teacher. Let me be honest with you, as much as I learned, 7 years I worked in that school, as much as I learned as a teacher from my children, from my colleagues, I never learned anywhere else, but as they say, if you have a drive, you want to challenge yourself out of your comfort zone, and you want to break through all the barriers and progress. And that's what I did. After 7 years spending in that school, though I still feel very, very strongly about that school, I decided to move on and go into a bigger school. A much bigger school, a much reputed school. It's called Springdale Senior School in Amritsar. It's one of the biggest schools in Punjab and phenomenally well known for all the good work they do. I'm still very fond of that school. So that was a big choice. And first year I was teaching grade 7th and 8th mathematics, and I was teaching business studies to grade 11th and 12th. My kids loved me. I was a class teacher. We used to have assembly competition. We used to have a class board competition. My class would always win. We were very good, happy. And in the second year, my boss called me to her office, and she asked me to change my department. She said, from this year onwards, it was so good. I was such a good teacher, mathematics teacher, that the principal moved her son from one section of the class where he had his friends to my section, because she felt I taught mathematics better than probably the other teachers at that point of time. So, and suddenly she called me after 1 year in 2003, and he said, Sameer, I'm changing your department. And I questioned myself. And I said, I resisted change. I said, I don't want to change my department. I enjoy teaching mathematics. That's what you selected me for. And I enjoy teaching business management because that's my passion. And I don't want to change. Why should I change? So she gave me a book, and that book is still with me. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? Please pick up this book and read. It talks about how, before the circumstances make it mandatory for you to change, you need to adapt agility. You need to be thinking on your feet, to be continuously changing and upskilling yourself. And any guesses at this point of time? If you can put it in the chat from maths teacher, what would she have made me? Any guesses? Let's see if you can all guess. One guess to everybody. Okay, there are few guesses. Let me see. What did she ask me? HOD. Okay, that's nice. Science teacher, English teacher, vice principal. Vice principal I became much later. English. Pick up your thinking hats, folks. Motivational speaker. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. That's I love you for this. Science teacher, HOD. Okay, do you know what did she ask me to become? She asked me to teach theater. She said, I will be a theater teacher, and she promoted me to the post of Deputy Director, Center for Creating and Learn, Center for Performing and Creative Arts. The school was creating an additional school where they were only wanting to teach traditional art forms, music, dance, theater. And I was also told that I will be teaching theater to children from grade 1 to grade 12. That is what I was moved to. And it was not an easy move for me, right? And then there was no looking back. I realized this. I went back after reading that book, and I said, I'm happy for the change, but you have to promise me, as long as I scale in the school, I will be teaching one class. So I was allowed to keep one grade 12th with me. Rest they said, okay, give away everything, teach theater, start this head of departmentship for Center for Creative and Performing Arts. And I worked very closely with the artists. I worked very closely with the teachers, and it was a phenomenal journey. From that year, every year my boss would change my role. One year she called me and she said, this year onwards, you will design the co-curricular activities for the entire school from pre-nursery to grade 12th. And it was a big school. I would sit with each department and start creating themes, start creating co-curricular activities around the theme every year. Then the next year she said, I'm going to start a non-profit organization which will work on peace process. That's what was made into my introduction. So we started a non-profit organization called Punarjot. I worked on that project. The next year she said, I want my school to have an international department of education. So I went to US, I educated myself, came back, started an international center for learning. I started sending children overseas on scholarship. My kids have gone to Stanford, Johns Hopkins, Caltech, Georgia Tech, Imperial, UCL, everywhere in the world. All top colleges my kids have gone to. And that continued. Every year I learned a new skill. Every year I embraced, and this was a willing change. My first change was unwilling. But my next change was very, very willing. And at the end of it, I was able to work on a peace festival as a director. And every possible artist you can think of, I've met that artist through this journey. In addition to meeting the artists, I met politicians, I met historians, I met activists, I met artists, you will be appalled, but I did a conference called Imagine a New South Asia. And a lot of people who've strayed in their life to become terrorists and have served their prison time and decided to come back into life. To be honest, I've met those people, real people who've gone through that journey. And today I'm a peace enthusiast, I'm a humanist, I'm an amateur historian, and most importantly, the person I am, that is what that journey taught me. Now, what is the next change? Let's see. So from college to company, my dad's college, from my college, I used to go and run my dad's company. And then I started with coaching and tutoring, and then I went to teaching. And then from teaching, I started leading. When I left that school in 2011, I was director for international affairs, International Department of Education and Performing Arts Center. I was heading 3 departments. In addition to that, you're right, I was also pre-college facilitator. That means grade 11th and 12th, the entire curriculum was overseen by me. And I was managing a team of 64 teachers. I was managing about 600 kids. So this is my journey so far. I'll move on to the next. Do you think what I did post that? Do you know what I did post that? Any guesses? Let's take 2 minutes pause because I've spoken for a long period of time. What do you think would have been my next step in the journey? Let's see. What did I become after this? Let me see. Businessman. Okay, that's a good guess. Unpredictable personality. Smita ma'am has tagged me unpredictable personality. Principal. I did not become principal. I haven't become principal as yet, Mohammed. But a good guess. Let's see. Any more guesses? Okay, collaborator. Good. So let's see. I become an entrepreneur. From education, I went to entrepreneurship. I started a startup with my friend. I wanted young people to travel the world and learn through travel. If you remember, I think Neo read about me that I feel travel is the best form of education. So I started this startup and with my friend and traveled across the world. I traveled more than 20 countries, more than 38, probably 44 cities around different countries. And the most beautiful aspect of my job was to help young people dream big. So I would take them to NASA, to Center for Nuclear Research. I would take them to Mont Blanc to do mountaineering. And I met many people during this period of time. I met real people, educators, entrepreneurs, scientists who made space shuttle mission happen. Do you know STS-132, which was the second last shuttle which went to space from America? When they came down, I met them next day. I shook hands with them. Those are the real people. A very dear friend of mine, she's a NASA spacesuit designer. Right now, she's working on impact of travel to Mars on human physiology. So these are the friends I made around the world. I met a mountaineer who has been a nomad all his life. And how exciting was that? But in the journey, I made mistakes. I made wrong investments in my business. In US, we started a company and that was a very wrong investment. And everything I earned in last 5 years, I started losing. I lost that money. And I decided to rethink my life. And you must be wondering what could be more exciting than the job I was doing. I was still earning good money. I lost my savings, but I was earning good money. I was traveling around the world, meeting new people. There was nothing amiss in my life, but I wanted to change. And I wanted purpose in my life, most importantly. And I wanted to find that purpose. And you know what I did next? Any ideas now? Let's look if the next idea. I worked with a very, very big organization, one of the biggest organization, one of the biggest media house in the world. Let me tell you. Agastya, that's a myth. There is no zero gravity on Earth. You cannot create zero gravity. There is a flight called Vomit Comet. What they try to do is, even to give astronauts a training, they take this flight to a certain height and suddenly they turn off the engine. They allow the flight to have a free fall for a period of time, as much as they can control. At that point of time, you almost experience zero gravity. So you cannot, if people tell you they've been zero gravity, they're lying. So it's a myth. Nobody can be zero gravity. You cannot have zero gravity on Earth. And I think your science teacher can explain that very well. But there's a flight, go on Google and look at Vomit Comet. That's a flight you can do which is close to zero gravity. Oh, wow, Neo, National Geographic Channel. How did you know? Maybe I told you. Nat Geo. Yes, I work for National Geographic Channel, one of the biggest media house. And I was the country head for an educational program started by National Geographic Channel. And National Geographic Channel or National Geographic Partners is owned by this gentleman called Rupert Murdoch, who's world's richest media conglomerate. And the group was called Fox Networks Group. And you know, what do you think, how exciting my job could have been? What do you think about corporates? How good are corporates? And how much do you have to study to be in a corporate? Let's discuss this quickly. I'm sorry, Agastya, I know my video is not stable, but we'll have to manage right now. So tell me, what do you think to be in a corporate house? Do you need qualification? Is it exciting to work in a big corporate house? Okay, Sujata, you've raised hand. You may speak. You may unmute yourself and speak. Come on, folks. I was told I'm talking to the smartest kids in Kanpur. You can't be those kids if you're not talking, right? Okay, let me tell you. My 3 learnings. It is required a lot of acumen. Yes, that's true. Should have learning ability to be in corporate. That's right. Thank you, Ayush. Come on, I know teachers are also there. Teachers, come on. What do you think? We all dream to work in corporate world, and especially if it is one of the biggest corporate house in the world. Should have lots of experience. Yes, I had no experience of working in corporate before, Sakshi though. And my one presentation made it, oh, Neo doesn't like the corporate world. But Neo, as a filmmaker, you will have to work for one probably. It might have been very educational. Absolutely, Anya. My boss was phenomenal. Presence of mind. You do need presence of mind. You need to be very articulate. Okay, let me tell you my learnings from corporate house. One must be thinking that a National Geographic Channel is, wow, what a place to be. But when I worked with them, they asked me to look after a project on which they had spent already a huge amount of money because of my NDA, non-disclosure agreement. I cannot talk about how much money did they spend. They developed a product which already existed in the market. So not all corporates do is right. The project they created with research and investment already existed. So they didn't even know the project they're working on already exists and it's not novel. Second thing I learned there, intelligent or brilliant idea is not equal to successful idea. What is the difference between intelligent and brilliant idea and successful idea? Can anybody tell me here? Sorry. What is the difference between intelligent idea and a successful idea?
The intelligent idea may be something which is very wise, but it may not be successful. But the successful idea may not be seeming as carrying a lot of weightage or acumen, but it may become successful. So whatever becomes successful may not have been like earlier, it might not be like seeming that it's a very good idea or practical or pragmatic idea, but later on when it becomes successful, then of course it becomes a hit.
Excellent. Who's this? Can you identify yourself?
Yeah, Dr. Smita, sir.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Smith. I guess as much. So I like this answer. Successful idea is one brought to execution. Successful ideas are execution of ideas. So, you know, what I learned there, what makes an idea work is perseverance, is persistence, saying, I will work on my idea. That's how world's biggest ideas came into light. There were 2,000 unsuccessful attempts at probably Einstein's attempt before he invented light, right? So it takes more than money to build an idea. Remember that. Money is not enough to work on your idea. Brilliant ideas are mostly difficult to bring to practical life. But if you think so, Anya, you will never have a brilliant idea because most of those ideas seems unrealistic. Who said we will to the moon, right? Who said that we will go to the, I mean, in our times, I think probably I and Dr. Smita have probably 10, 15 years of gap in age. But in our times, we used to have that big black fat phone. We would dial and dial and dial to reach out to one person. You had to book call through telephone exchange. Your parents would know. But today, what do? You pick up this damn small device and you just call anybody, anywhere, right? So brilliant ideas are most difficult to bring in practical life. But if you believe that, you will never have a brilliant idea. So remember, an idea takes more than money to execute. A successful idea is idea behind which you sweat, you persevere, you persist, and then the idea comes to real life. Nat Geo had a lot of money, but the idea they called me for was unsuccessful idea because it already existed. So the research was faulty. The third, do you know what qualification do you need to be need to have to work in say filmmaking? If you want to be in filmmaking, what qualification do you require? If you want to be in a field of writing, what qualification do you require? If you want to be a teacher, what qualification do you require? Yes, sorry. Tell me. Apologies. I'm trying to. Come on. I want some answers, folks. Yes, it's here. Knowledge about the subject, of course. Basically a right approach, okay. Patience, okay. A filmmaker, you need to be creative. Teachers educate students from preschool to high school in subjects such as mathematics, language arts, social science, science and more. While most teachers hold a bachelor's degree in education, many colleges offer teaching certification programs for those who already hold a bachelor's degree in another discipline, okay. To be anything in life, you need one thing. I realized in National Geographic Channel. Any filmmaker, award-making filmmaker I met, there's one of my friend who's leading Discovery Channel now. His name is Sai, and brilliant filmmaker. There's another friend, Chaitanya, who's brilliant filmmaker. There's another friend, Namarita. She's excellent scriptwriter. You know what commonality do they have? None of them are qualified to be what they're doing. All they have is passion for learning and passion for what they believe in. So remember, passion is your qualification. You can't be an engineer if you have not studied engineering. Remember that. You can't be a chartered accountant if you have not studied chartered accountancy. But if you're not passionate about numbers, you may have qualification, but you'll not be a successful chartered accountant. India has the highest number of unemployable engineers. 93% of engineers we create in our country cannot be employed. They are unemployable. So because they lack passion. So passion is your qualification. And that's something which was brilliant learning at Nat Geo. And when I completed my project, I was asked, because my project shut down, and they asked me whether I want to continue in sales. And in the sales, they had some bags and books and magazines to sell. I said, folks, I'm an educator. I'm a teacher by qualification. I know numbers, but I don't want to do that. So even though I had a choice to stay back in a brilliant media house on a good salary, I decided to quit. And from there, for 1 year, I picked up small projects in travel. I traveled to UK, I traveled to Europe, and I wanted to find the purpose of my life. And finally, what do you think I decided to be, or I finally want to become in my life? Any questions?
Yes, sir. So one question. So like after National Geographic Channel work, you were just traveling. So from where you were getting the funds, because you had left that job. So from where you were incurring, you were meeting all the expenditures for the traveling, because traveling itself, meeting with the plane fare, train fare. So like from where you were getting all those resources to, yeah.
So, ma'am, a lot of time in India, I mean, please don't misunderstand me. A lot of time we hold on to money as the biggest asset we have. I kept amount of money for travel. The year I lost, I decided to move on. I took the most expensive holiday of my life. The most expensive holiday of my life. I spent 1.5 months in London because I wanted to experience another country, what it means to live in another country. I used my savings for that. So, and for next 1 year, I picked up small projects. Like in one summer, I was in summer school in UK. I was in this school called Seven Oaks. One summer I was in Seven Oaks, where Shah Rukh Khan and Shweta Bachchan Nanda's children study. I went to that school and volunteered as a summer teacher. I got some money from there. When I went to Europe, I formed a children's group. I did a history trip for them. And I got not many children, about 14 children, and I made some money from there. So that sponsored my travel. So I was picking small projects. In between, I took about 100 kids to US. So I was doing projects, but in a gap, small gaps. But my earning was not incommensurate to what I was earning. I wanted new experiences in life. Any more questions? I'm happy for questions at this point of time.
So how did you sustain your family?
I did sustain my family. I have 2 dependents for me. My wife works, so she's an educator herself. She's a teacher trainer. And she was working with a very good school in Delhi. It's called Shiv Nadar School, which is run by HCL Group. So she was working there. So we had basic assurance of money. And we worked. I was a successful entrepreneur for a couple of years. So I had some amount of savings with me. I had my parents who were dependent on me. I had certain loans which I had to pay off, property loans which I had to pay off. So I continued that. But I was doing small projects parallelly. Every 2 months, I had a small project to work on.
That's great.
Okay. Next. Sorry. Now, what I wanted to do was to be an educator myself again. So funny, I had a choice. I have a cousin who asked me, he wants to start a business in UK, and he cannot go because he's successful enterprise in India, and that's his family business which he can't leave. He said, if you go there, investment you make parallelly, some investment I'll make, and both of us can start a business in UK, and we can kind of earn good money. You can have good lifestyle because I won't be able to go out of country. So that was one choice, and thought of opening a restaurant or a coffee shop in UK. And that's when I met Preeti ma'am, I think also at that point of time. But that I spent time there, I enjoyed it, but I think I still kept missing something in my life. And one of that thing was my interaction with children. Everybody said that you're so good with children, you should always be a teacher. So what I did finally was I came back to education. And I work in an international school now, which offers, just like your school, IGCSE curriculum. We are also A-level and IB school. So in last 3.5 years of my journey with school, I've changed 3 portfolios. I joined as manager, academic support services. In a year later, I was promoted or was renamed as manager advancement. And last year I was asked to step into the position of vice principal. So change is something which is very, very integral to my life. I mean, I just love change. So now let's see what did change taught me, and what does change teach us, and what have you learned from the changes you've experienced, right?
So,
Yes.
so what is your learning as a traveler?
As a traveler, let's talk about that. Can we hold on to that thought for a minute? Or okay, let me answer this question first. My journey as a traveler is that the real experiences in life are far more valuable than the money lying in the bank account. That's first thing. Second, I realized that people become more open-minded. People have a better outlook towards life when they travel. My learning as a traveler is, if you choose to do anything, it is possible. For example, I'm a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian for 28 years, and I chose vegetarian lifestyle. And about 1.5 years back, I turned vegan. Vegan means I don't eat any dairy product also. No meat, no paneer, no milk, no curd, nothing. I just eat raw vegetables and one-time food a day, because I feel if the food is cooked twice, there is a certain amount of carbon emissions which go into the atmosphere, and it's causing global warming. So I eat only one cooked meal a day. My 2 meals are raw. Morning is fruit. At night, I just eat raw vegetables. I don't cook my food. So I learned that. When I met different people, every person I met made me become a better person by teaching me something. For example, this friend I was talking about, the scientist at NASA, who's a woman and who's a spacesuit designer, she knows 7 languages, and she does yoga as part-time teacher job. So even if you're a very big scientist, you can always have a hobby which you can turn into vocation. That's what I learned. That's what I still continue to do. I pick up projects and I continue to do along with my vice principalship. I volunteer with 3 different organizations. As a traveler, I also realized that world is such a beautiful space. That it's a very little time for us on planet Earth to be able to explore all of that. And I also realized how much damage are we causing as human beings on the world. Even by traveling, we're causing damage because we're leaving a carbon footprint on the world. Every flight you take, every train you take, every time you drive a car, you are causing an environmental degradation. So that's another learning. I also realized that while we run around the world to see different parts of the world, and it's nice to see them, India is one of the most beautiful places I've been to. So I value my country more. I value the diversity we have, the rich culture we have, the diversity of food we have, the diversity of languages we have, the diversity of religion we have. I appreciate it more. Does that answer your question?
Also, sir, how did you manage time to travel while working?
So my work was travel. My job for about 8 years of my life was to take people to another destination, be with them, children basically, not people, children, and help them experience different fun. So while I was working, I was also traveling with them because that was my job. And I have gone to US. I cannot complain about life at all because I think all of us desire to be in Disney at least once in our lifetime. Do you know how many times I've been to Disney? I've been to Disney 42 times in my life already. So, I can't complain. That's my work, to go to Disney, to go to NASA, to go to CERN, to go to Mount Blanc, to go to Antarctica, and probably give children experiences. Does that answer your question?
Sir, does that mean traveling is your passion?
It indeed is my passion. Okay, great.
Sir, wow.
Sorry?
Sir, wow.
Thank you. Let me tell you, what did I learn? Resilience. I think if you embrace change, or whenever the change is thrown at you, you learn to be resilient. You face any situation, you get around it, get through it, get over it, crush it, be crushed by it. The choice is always yours. Change always helps you stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone. And if you're not stretching, you're contracting, right? The choice is always yours. You can stretch, be a larger person, or you can contract, be a smaller person. Take pride in failure. We all are so scared of failure. If we get 1 mark less than 10, the world collapses. Pride collapses. Sorry, parents. Teachers feel something wrong has happened to this child. He's intelligent, so intelligent. How can he fail? But that's fine. It's okay to fail. Take pride in your failure. I failed twice in my life, in my business, and I take pride. And today, let me tell you, in a startup world today, people make failure resume. The number of times you failed in starting a startup, more experiences you have. You are hired at a higher salary. So please take pride in your failure, but learn from it. Don't just say, I failed and that's phenomenal. I am doing a good job. But what did you learn from that failure, and how will you not fail again? That is very, very important. Remember. Okay. The most important thing in life aren't things. It's not the car. It's not the money. It's not the house. It's the relationship and experiences. When I had a challenge in between, I got into a lawsuit with US government, and I had to fight my case, and I won it because the government was trying to implicate me in something which I haven't done. I was at my lowest, but so many people stood up to me and they say, Sameer, we know you. You are the right person. You got to fight it out. So I think tells me that the most valuable thing in life for me is relationship and experiences. It's not my money. It's not the house I built. It's not the car I own. So I attach a very little importance to that. If I have to make a choice between taking, I want to get a good car, maybe a Jeep or maybe something nicer than that, Kia Stellos. But if I have to make a choice between that and a travel to Antarctica, I would probably take travel to Antarctica over the car. So experiences are more important for me. Relationships are very important for me. It's never an end. It's always a new beginning. So when we think the world has ended, I have failed, nobody's going to love me, that's actually the time when you're starting a new beginning. Please believe in that. Okay? Changes are chances. Now there is only one letter which I've changed here. G to C. Now it's up to you whether you take these chances of growth, of redefining life moments, or not take these chances. The choice is always ours. So you can choose. And how can we teach our children to embrace change? Parents, this is for you. If I remove this arrow from here, you will always see that child can either be a failure or be successful, right? But let's take every failure, let's teach children how failure can lead to success. And with that, I have a very interesting video for you to see. Let's see. Why do we fear change? Because we associate change with failure. We don't like to fail. Why don't we like to fail? Because we've been told that failure is wrong. Failure is bad.
Failure always leads to success.
Exactly. Only if you learn from your failure, Baba. If you simply keep failing and don't learn from it, then it doesn't lead to success. But if you've learned from failure and you make sure that you don't repeat it again and you have a new failure, that's fine. But if you keep having the same failure again and again, if you keep failing in social science again and again, that's a failure. That's not a good failure. I need to go back. Maybe social science is not the subject I like, but I have to study till 10th standard. Can I have some strategies? Can I reach out to my teacher and understand how can I learn it better? So you have to find strategies to overcome your failure. Okay. The failing test. We'll just look at a small video right now, and then we'll come back to final questions. Allow me a minute. Let's see if you all like this video. This is my favorite video. I always show it to the teachers, to children, everybody. Can you all hear it?
Yes, sir.
एक बार जब मैं गिर गई तो लगा बस गॉन है, अब चांस नहीं था। We never thought कि भी हम लोग को कि भी कुछ एक दूसरे को हेल्प कर ले, क्रॉल कर ले, कुछ एक अलग आइडियाज जो होते हैं ना आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स थिंकिंग, वो नहीं थी। ये रूल्स हमने बना लिए, खुद बना लिए। अच्छा, और वो एक ही कंप्लीट करने के बाद अगर गिर भी रहे हैं तो वापस जा रहे हैं उसी क्यू में कि अब हम दोबारा से करेंगे। वो हम लोग हट रहे थे कि नहीं करना।
उन्होंने ट्राई नहीं किया, अंकल आंटी ने। हम लोग ट्राई कर ले। उनको डर लगा, उन्हें हार मानी था। जब बड़े हो जाते हैं तब एक ही चांस मिलता है? कौन बोला? बच्चे हार मानते नहीं क्योंकि वो हार जाते ही नहीं।
तो क्या बच्चों को हारना हम सिखाते हैं? सेल्फ एक्सेप्ट।
So I don't know if you like the video, but this is one of my most favorite video, which I love showing it to the teachers and children. Children don't know failure at all. It's us who teach them failure, who tell them what it means to fail. So children, when next time your parents say, yeah, why are you failing? You didn't do it well, show them this video. And Dr. Smita, please share this video with all your teachers also, because that's very, very important lesson we need to learn in life, in today's time especially, that failure is just a stepping stone to success, and that's truly. And let's not teach our children fearing failure. We should tell them at least try, because when we teach and instill the fear of failure, they stop trying, they stop attempting. And the only constant is change, and the rate of change is increasing. So do we have a choice but not to embrace a change? I really don't know. So I will quickly now stop here. I think we are just
Sir,
about...
can I say something?
Yes.
Sir, kids are more flexible and focused and ready to accept any challenge at any time. Kids are not resistant to change.
I know that, Baba. That's why I showed this video to all the parents and adults in this room today, right? Because we teach them failure. We tell them what is good, what is bad. They don't know it. They'll keep trying, you know. I live in a community where there are a lot of children who get together, who talk in the evening, and we've got this dog which has been abandoned. When adults see that dog, they run away in the opposite direction. And when the kids see dog, they run in the direction of the dog and pet him. So I don't think kids fear anything. We teach them fear. We teach them fear of life, fear of failure, fear of everything. So you're right. Very good. I'm happy to answer any question, any comments. I've put in a link there. Feel free to add any comment, any questions you have. I'm happy to have any follow-up one-to-one conversation you want to do. Please reach out to Dr. Smita. She's my contact details. I'm by career, by qualification, I love mentoring kids. I love mentoring young children. If any one of you need any help, I'm always happy to help all of you in any capacity I can. This is called a Padlet link. You can just leave a small comment. How did you like the session? Do you want to, what did you learn something, or you didn't learn something at all? You know, one question which has come to me anonymously is, what is the best advice you've received? You know, there was a very interesting conversation. Do you know who's Dr. Kalam? Okay, yes, we all know Dr. Kalam. So my boss and I worked on presentation. It's called 5 Minds for the Future. It's in a book by this gentleman called Howard Gardner, who's written the theory of multiple intelligence. I know Dr. Smita would know theory of multiple intelligence. Some of the schools follow that pedagogy. So, so we made a presentation on 5 Minds for the Future, and she was able to present in a forum where Dr. Kalam was present. And she reached out I mean, after the presentation, Dr. Kalam reached out to her and congratulated her for the presentation. And she said, it's not my effort alone. It's my colleague, my junior who works with me. It was his idea to work on this presentation. And he said, just send him one good advice. He and Dr. Gardner both gave me advice, and Oprah Winfrey also. I've met Oprah also. So all of three gave me 3 different advices. The first advice I got from Dr. Kalam is the presentation he really liked. He said, this presentation is very good. And I appreciated, one of the best presentations I've seen this meeting. But go back and relook at it. Could you do, if you were to do it again, would you do it differently? So that's the first advice. So whenever I take any decision in my life, whenever I take any action in my life, whenever I choose to do something in life, I go back and reflect. If I were to do it again, would I do it differently? So reflection is a very, very important part. Reflect on everything you do. Second thing, Oprah Winfrey told me, she signed a book for me, which I gifted to my boss. And she said to me, I mean, I don't know if you know Oprah Winfrey's story, but pick up a book, watch up a video. There are a lot of WhatsApp videos, short videos, which talks about her struggles. She told me one thing, and I asked her the same question. What is one bad advice you can give? She says, life is beautiful. Always be grateful for what you get. So I always end up the day. Sometimes I'm very negative. I'm not this saint or a Buddha who's always positive. I also have my bad days. I have bad days at work, bad days with family, bad days. Yesterday I fought with my mom So that was a bad day. So I go back at night and sit down, and before I go to sleep, I tell myself, what am I grateful for that day? Because gratefulness brings abundance. So that's the second advice. First advice, reflect on everything you do and learn from your reflection. Second, um, what do you call it? Be grateful for everything you have in life. You are really blessed with abundance. Be thankful to your parents for what you get in life. Be thankful to your teachers who love you to the core of your heart. Be thankful to the director who established an institution, such beautiful institution. I've been to your school and I love it. You know, be grateful for probably, an uncle coming to your house and bringing you your favorite patty and ice cream. Be grateful for small things. Be grateful for big things. Third thing is, um, it's okay to fail, and it's okay to fail again and again, as long as the failure in you, because failure is learning. Never be fear to fail, because if you fear to fail, you will stop taking chances in life. If you will not take chances in life, how will you grow? Right? I mean, one of the biggest directors of our time is Sanjay Leela Bansali. He failed so many times before he made one successful movie, right? You go to Thomas Alva Edison, you talk about Edison, all of those people. Your neighbor uncle would have started his business 10 times and failed before he became a best business tycoon and built up a best house. So be grateful, always reflect, and never fear failures. Always take chances in life. Continue to take chances in life. That was a good question. I'm happy to. Somebody said that the story matches mine and I'm more excited to move ahead and have greater experience, accept challenges and changes. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I'm sure my story is just a very simple story. If each one of you is asked to tell a story, probably you'll make a better movie than, or a better story than anyone else would have ever written. Each one of us has a unique story. So questions? If there are no questions, we can call it off for the day. But thank you so much. Do take out time to, as I said, there's a Padlet link. If you want something, please mention there. I'll be happy. You'll want to leave questions. I don't need your contact details. Your questions will be answered through Dr. Smita. But if you have any questions, any comments, any experience, please put it here. You can simply click it and you can add the
able to like put my feedback in there.
So,
Sure. Yes.
So we have taken all the precautions, but still community spread is happening. Sir, why?
Have you taken all precautions, but your neighbor may not have taken precautions, right? But the neighbor's neighbor may not have taken precaution. The community spread means, have you ever seen a pack of cards being built up in a house? We take 10 pack of cards and then put 10 on top of that and then 5 on top of that, and it goes on big. I made 6 rows maximum. If you move one leaf from there, what happens to the pack of cards?
It will break.
It will fall off, right? So if one person doesn't take precaution, the entire community will pay for it. That is why it is a community. One person mistake is paid by everyone. Actually, it's one nation's mistake. If China would have been careful in reporting these cases in first case, this wouldn't have gone to the world, right? They were irresponsible in reporting their cases initially. So remember, when we live in community, when we derive resources from community, we get punished with community, whether we take precautions or we don't take precautions. But I think we should still take precautions.
Sir, is COVID actually a Wuhan lab created virus?
I'm not saying created, but it started from there. There is another discussion we can have on that. It talks about the negligence, it talks about the ignorance, it talks about the selfishness of that country of not being able to come out clean and report it to the WHO that we have a unique virus which we are not able to identify. We are containing this zone. Please stop sending people to China unless we spread it, unless we control it. They didn't do that. So I won't say it's Wuhan created, but of course it spread from there. It started from there. It spread to the world from there, to my little knowledge.
Sir, then even WHO has given us wrong information.
Sorry?
Sir, then even WHO has given us wrong information.
But sometimes, the big organizations have a lot at stake. The countries can go into war. The countries can be denied certain resources, access to resources. So sometimes WHO, it's just sometimes say, when you don't say anything, at least you're not lying. So WHO may not have said anything about in particular. They make very articulated, politically correct statements because they need to keep everybody intact as a world. WHO is like a big grandmother. If uncle and aunt are fighting, they will still be quiet and try to create a peace in the household so that everybody can live peacefully. Probably that's the role of WHO. I don't know if they're spreading the wrong word, but my assumption is their intentions are right. That's my assumption.
So then WHO lied that is not a human to human transmission.
There are a lot of theories, Baba. I was talking to my friend today and he said China has invented the vaccine. This vaccine has been approved by GCC Gulf country councils and the doctors are endorsing that there. I don't know what is truth. We will only know with time. But I don't go by WhatsApp. University is a very dangerous university. It sets you up for failure. So I don't believe anything on what comes on WhatsApp. I go back, I research. And if I have a proof from WHO, from any Economic Times or the New York Times or the Times of India, if any credible newspaper is verifying that report, then only I believe. Otherwise, people keep sending 100 things in a day. WHO did this, you once created this virus to kill the world. I don't believe in all that.
Thank you, sir, for the stimulating.
Thank you. Neo, I think we lost your voice.
Thank you, sir, for the stimulating speech, which was indeed a revelation. I'm sure everyone must have been amazed to know more about the topic.
Our heartfelt gratitude to our founder and CEO, Mrs. Preeti Agarwal, for initiating such talk which kindles our curiosity and deepens our knowledge.
We also convey our gratitude to our speaker, Mr. Sameer Arora, for his dynamic talk and the wonderful correlation with his life.
Thank you so much, everyone, to be a part of BHIS Chronicles.
We will meet again tomorrow. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
We will also meet tomorrow on 11th October 2020 at the same time with another guest speaker, Mr. Chetan D'Souza. Till then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.